Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. And yeah, I took a little bit of a break there. I apologize. About a week and a half without any content. What was going on? Well, it's just been the worst week. I can't even go into it. Just people, man. Just people. There's a reason we barricade ourselves in our bedrooms or wherever the PC is, and it's not because video games are getting better. If anything, they're moving in the other direction as far as I'm concerned, but it's because dealing with people is infinitely preferable if it's through the medium of a PC screen than it is compared to dealing with in real life, because people generally suck. So that's what happened. Like, people happened, a person was born, and years later you guys had your fun ruined because I wasn't able to come and cast. So let's just leave it at that and move on. I'm trying to, but it's hard, as you can tell. But good news, I do have something to be happy about. We passed the 20,000 subscriber milestone, guys. I can't thank you enough to each and every one of my subscribers, and indeed for those of you who've made donations of late especially. Your support helps me immeasurably. I know 20,000 subs isn't really a great deal. It's a pretty modest-sized YouTube channels as far as they go, but it's not bad for a channel that, you know, focuses exclusively on a game that came out in 2007. It's a testament to our community and a testament to how great this game is, and that it's the gift that continues to keep on giving. So thank you once again, guys. I am still determined to bring you an update on the latest patch. That will hopefully be coming out shortly, and I really want to sync up with Zoc and get that little interview in so we can take a look at what his ideas for balance are going forward. And none of that matters, though. Today it is a ladder match. It's going to be Average Joe's, I think, and I hope these guys will forgive me. So they're about 1,300, 1,350 on ladder ranking, but of course, as you know, my cutoff for Average Joes and Pros at Guilecast is 1,500 global. I'm sure you used to be able to place their names or place a person's names in the leaderboard search function, and it would tell you what their global ranking was. I'm sure, but I can't see. I've forgotten how to guile, basically. I've forgotten how to game. But yeah, suffice to say, I hope they forgive me if they are over the pro cusp. But anyway, it's going to take place on Desert Planet 2. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the video is ended, so we better get the hell out of here. It looks so professional. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. That's when I know I've really waffled on too much. But anyway, Desert Planet 2, it is without doubt one of the prettiest maps, I think. It could literally be like the Dune Sea in Star Wars or Tatooine or something like that. I expect to see Tusken Raiders cavorting across the hillsides there on their Banthas. But anyway, it's pretty awesome. I always think, yeah, when I see it in the replay vault. And yeah, I don't really cast it that often. That's because about, I'd say 49 out of every 50 replays I watch are just boring on this map, if I'm honest. It does. I don't know what it is. It just creates boring games. It's something about the makeup, I guess. Typically, it's a 1v1 format. It can go to 3v3, of course, but I guess with the canyons and the choke points, it often tends to be very static. But I hope you'll agree today won't be one of those. Anyway, I'm waffling again. Let's take a look at our players up here at the top right. In the blue corner, it's ThermoNuc, very wisely going UEF. How very sensible. Opening first land, going second air, I think it would seem. Yeah, that looks about right. And then third land after that. And his opponent down here at the bottom left in the red corner, he accidentally went Cybran. It's elPollo, and he is opening first land. Gonna keep us guessing about where he's going with his next factory decisions there, but it is of course a UEF Cybran matchup. The eternal age-old battle continues of good versus evil, capitalist versus socialist, law-abiding citizen versus terrorists, UEF versus Cybran. You get where I'm going with this, right? Yeah, I'm nothing if not consistent. You can't hold that against me. But I gotta say, I know you guys want to see the openings. These guys aren't classified as top pros, so you probably aren't going to hold it against me too much. But there we go. This is how they stack up. And a lot of extra T1P gens there for ThermoNuc at the beginning. He has got that stationed around his other air factory, so he could be going for some early bomber work perhaps. Wants to get an extra dump of power going. But in terms of power balance and efficiency, elPollo with the more efficient start, I would say, gets the early hydro out, and you can see how much further ahead he is than ThermoNuc on that. So ThermoNuc still only at half power, and elPollo with a much healthier power and probably with significantly less mass expenditure, I would say. He's already got a pretty healthy mass store going on there. So I would say definitely a more efficient start, but we're going to be earlier out with some bomber play from ThermoNuc, who's already started one there. Excuse me. And we'll see if he can make up the difference on that. Couple of Mantis out heading north there for elPollo. Well, he takes his ACU out to the east. He's going to throw down an autogun on the way with a very elaborate set of wall sections there. Unnecessary, I would say. Most people go with the 8 wall sections. It's probably a trade union thing, guaranteeing extra labor that the Cyberans have to do. There we go. That's a lot of it, but maybe it makes a difference, I don't know. But in the heat of the battle, I wouldn't like to have to wait for that template to complete. Of course, you can cancel it at any time, but maybe someone could enlighten me. Maybe that affords extra protection that's worthwhile. I'd be very interested to know. But Mantis heading out, one going into the core of the base, looking to maybe pick off a mass extractor there. Maybe, if he's lucky, catch an engineer on a reclaim mission, although that seems to be on the way. The other one going up here, looking for an engineer up here, and there is one. However, I think he'll probably have a land factory online by then. There is a Snoop and a Striker in the area as well. But a T1 bomber heading in now for ThermoNuc with a scout leading it, so he's going to get some good intel here. Bombing run seems to be coming pretty direct towards that. In fact, do we already have a kill command set on that engineer? I think we might just have. Seems to be coming in there. Very serious amount of attack waypoints. And they're going to save his bacon. I was going to say, clutch little handbrake turn there from elPollo, but that was completely coincidental that the waypoints were already in place. Couple of shots fired from the interceptor as the bomber goes overhead. He is going to get a second round of bombs off, so he takes down one engineer, but not really anything too special on that side of things. Mantis makes it into the base, takes down the mass extractor to 224 hit points before the Strikers turn up. No joy there for him. We go to the other Mantis that's rolling in and catches poor Todd the engineer napping. Gets the reclaim order off, but gets gizzarded long before he can finish the order on the Mantis. Radar goes down as well, and another engineer, it's Bob, his brother, rolls off, gets the reclaim order, and with a little help from his friends rolling in from the south. Where on earth did that tank column come from? He will survive on just 22 hit points, and having seen his brother get massacred like that while he was being constructed must be a terrible, terrible sight. Terrible trauma, but he's going to resurrect his brother's creation, that nice little SA-1 radar post there. Getting good work done for the business. Striker rolling in past elPollo, who is on strike potentially as he goes about his merry business. Not on strike at all, of course. What am I saying? He's working on a land factory, wants to complete that before taking care of the Striker. All things in their prioritized place. Interceptors flying overhead now, and quite a lot on the map for ThermoNuc. T1 bomber out for elPollo, flies over the top of one engineer and goes for another one. It's Bob! No! Get a move on, Bob! Just too late. Their poor mother will be getting 2 telegrams in the post. Very, very close to one another. I do feel for her. Radar gets nailed once again. So there's a slight comic theme emerging in this one. ThermoNuc could do with sending some interceptors up there to the top to deal with that. Another T1 bomber for ThermoNuc going to work on the Mantis, Sky Slammer and Medusa that's out over there, but the Sky Slammer will take care of the bomber. No problems there. And ThermoNuc seems to be expanding better, so he's taking his ACU down here, getting a land factory. Engineer going to pick up the mexes, and he looks like he's in position to grab the mexes up here without any difficulties as well. Compare that to elPollo. Yes, he's secured the starting location to the east of his main base, but the other one up here, he's going to have to wait. He's got strikers rolling in, and they have a numerical advantage on his own forces in the area. So a slightly better start. elPollo ahead, curiously enough, en masse for the time being. 29 to 25, but I'm feeling that is about to change, and change quite drastically in the near future. A lot of extra power for ThermoNuc, 500 versus 340, and that is congruent with the amount of aircraft we're seeing on the field now for ThermoNuc. For those of you that aren't au fait with SOPCOM, the aircraft cost considerably more to produce in terms of power than the land vehicles do. So a transport out for elPollo. It's going to bring a few engineers up here, and he's going to drop them off just in time to get eviscerated by a band of strikers, and that would have been quite costly, that transport as well. So no joy there, no point in even starting anything on that side of things. And this looks like this denial of this other base will continue for some time, and now you can see the mass lead developing for ThermoNuc, 39 to 33. elPollo power reserves dwindling, so he needs to work on his power per production. I don't know if he's upgrading anything. He's building some defensive emplacements at his forward position by his commander. All seems to be Tech 1 at the present time, with nothing upgrading. We do have an upgrade though for ThermoNuc. Tech 2 on the way at his forward position, so ThermoNuc going to be in position with both a tech advantage potentially as well as a mass advantage. So things not looking great for elPollo here as he loses his northern defensive force. And now we have a transport out for ThermoNuc, who's depositing build capacity strategically in order to pick up the most mass as quickly as possible. So this could be another grab over here as well, as he brings in the engineers towards the core mass at the edge of the screen there. elPollo in the middle with his commander, now suffering greatly on that power drain there, out of power reserves, and that is affecting his mass production. Consequently, 24 to 27 against 47 for ThermoNuc. Quite a lot of T1 units amassing up at the top for ThermoNuc. Now, still using that transport to ferry engineers over, I would presume, to the left-hand portion of the map. Needs to get those units on the way to the front line. Could be doing damage at the moment and could potentially be reaping the rewards, but elPollo getting an upgrade on his commander.
Commander under attack.
Interesting time for it while he still hasn't sorted out his power issues, but it's not hindering him too much. We are on +1, I suppose, but he's up to around 60% of that upgrade already. That's not been going that long. Little push inbound from ThermoNuc. I'm pretty certain elPollo will have the forces to fend that off, and which could actually be a bit of a mistake. Could set him out for a counter push from elPollo. There is one T1 PD in place over there. elPollo completes the upgrade. Power reserves begin to climb. But look at that, 66 to 33. elPollo on the move, has the gun upgrade now on his commander, and as anticipated, that little push being fended off with relative ease. elPollo with an opportunity here if he carries on to push up north. Could take out that position and lay claim to it himself. He's going to need to if he's going to stay in this contest. ThermoNuc running away with this one now in eco terms. Has the T2 upgrade in place and has pillars rolling out. elPollo, decent power production now and a lot of power storage as well, so we'll have overcharges available to him. ThermoNuc, aware of the impending danger, started a triad at the forward position and a lot of engineers here to help him hurry that up. However, he's on an upgrade himself, so a lot of demands at the moment on his eco and working on T2 power. So there is an opportunity here for elPollo to deal some damage. Meanwhile, he's pushing out with his T1 spam over here. He's going to manage to kill the Hydro, I would expect. Needs to be careful around that T1 point defense. More T1 spam coming in from ThermoNuc from the rear. elPollo is going to move up. We're going to move over to the east and follow elPollo's commander. He's got a little bit of backup on the ground in terms of Mantis coming up through the canyon there. One triad online and a second one under construction as well. Overcharging the pillars when it becomes available. Deals nicely with that all the time, though, taking triad fire down to around 7,400. And if you take a look over at the eastern edge of the map there, nothing is going on with that other force we just switched from. This taking up everybody's APM right now. That rear triad still online. A new PD, a T1 PD, goes up nice and quickly. That other triad is stalled. elPollo is going to have to drop back, though, I think, down to 7,000 hit points now. He's doing good work with the overcharge, but he's going to back on up out of it. Meanwhile, back over to the western edge of the map. ThermoNuc going to be able to repel this. Mantis now running headfirst into that T1 point defense. There is another force that he needs to be wary of, but that actually seems to be heading up through the canyon towards ThermoNuc's territory. 82 to 41, massive advantage now for our UEF player. elPollo withdrawing from that last encounter with 5,400 odd hit points left. Not the healthiest of situations to be in. As the band of Mantis and strikers mingle, the attack for elPollo gradually peters out. Some wall sections down at the bottom right hand portion of the map there from ThermoNuc prevent that push from elPollo, who's trying to come up around the other side of the base. Very nice work indeed from ThermoNuc. One engineer. They don't even stick around to find the engineer either, unless that got a few pot shots fired at it. Down to 94 hit points. Hope that's not related to Bob or Todd. And now we're starting to see some Tech 2 on the field for elPollo. So he's transitioned. Rhino right up front, and a steady stream of them rolling in from the main base. Small push from ThermoNuc, not going to get up anywhere near anything important. elPollo lying in wait with his comm, gets a rank of vet as well, which restores a huge chunk of HP onto the commander. Nice little run by though, potentially on the cards. Couple of jesters lying in wait, can't really use them until he's secured the skies. Another nice little run by down here as well. Some strikers creeping into the main base. That must have been an airdrop. Yes, it was. The transport that brought them in will get shot down on the way out, but he still managed to get in behind enemy lines and should be able to cause some damage now. Engineers in the base spamming up auto guns, and they will defend against the northern attack nice and easily. However, that drop in the south has picked off a T2 mass extractor, and that is mass elPollo cannot afford to lose at this point in time. Jesters and Cerberus turrets in the main base deal with what's left as those strikers make a push on the main base. No real problems there for elPollo, but look at the amount of map control he's sitting on. Virtually nothing. He's on less than 25%. I'd say he's on about 15% at this point in time, maybe 20 at the outside. Another push coming in from ThermoNuc. elPollo back well and truly up against the wall here, but he's transitioning to Tech 3, 20% done on that upgrade. Is that being matched over here? No, it's being superseded by ThermoNuc, who is on 90% of his upgrade. So ThermoNuc putting his massively superior eco to good use here, not resting on his laurels. Has one flapjack stinging at another T2 mechs at range. elPollo seemingly with no way to hit back against that for the time being. Could send in the jesters, although there are interceptors lying in wait, waiting for just such an eventuality. ThermoNuc, I'd say, taking unnecessary casualties there. Flapjacks could have handled the mass extractor. Definitely an unnecessary push there from our UEF player, who's trying to corner elPollo down here with some emplacements. It's not going to last too long against an ACU. elPollo taking some dings there on that tinfoil commander the Cyberans employ. But still breezes through that point defense without any major difficulties. Demolisher rolling out to the front line from ThermoNuc. It's going to want to pound elPollo at range. elPollo needs to be very careful about how much work he does with the commander here. So T3 upgrade complete. Loyalists in production. He's got to break out somehow. He's got to break out and somehow manage to recapture the rest of his half of the map, because ThermoNuc just sitting on way too much. Forward units under pressure. elPollo skirmishing backwards and forth with his commander. Once again, unnecessary push forward from ThermoNuc. Should just sit back and let the flapjacks do the work. Try and build up the contingent of mobile missile launchers. Big counter push here from elPollo. All Tech 1 though, pretty much. Now he's got Tech 3 mobile artillery fire to worry about, and they just chew through Tech 1 units. Oh! So instead he is going to move northwest. And he's going to use this large force to try and make a play for that other starting location. Well, he's pushing out with some loyalists now, and he's definitely got much more on this side of the map than ThermoNuc has. elPollo once again venturing forward with his commander. Wants to probably just get in range of the demolishers and pick some of them off. Give him a little bit more breathing room, a little extra time. Some Janus stacking up down at the bottom right hand corner. I wonder if we've got a snipe attempt on the cards here from ThermoNuc. I think he's going to have to yield the base over here. He's not going to be able to contend with these loyalists as long as elPollo deals with the point defense cleanly. And he is going to sync up with his other units over here as well. Just has to give that PD a wide berth. Most of these factories are idle now. One of them still producing T1 units. And it's going to be a win for elPollo, who finally ousts ThermoNuc from his side of the map, or will do shortly, I'm sure. Look at that, though. That is a scary sight indeed. Artillery setting up on the hillside for ThermoNuc, and Percival's, or the odd Percival, moving forward as well. He's got to inflict enough damage on the ACU to make it drop back before he can take this. So elPollo may have bagged the other starting location up here, but he might just be losing this at the same time. And in come the Janus. They offload a bombing run. Not quite enough. One more bomber, I think, would have done it. Not enough to kill that T2 P-Gen, and that really would have hurt elPollo, I think. He doesn't have a whole lot of power to spare. So he's got away with that one there, but needs to be wary of any extra Janus following that one up. And instead of holding position or coming back to help defend the ACU's current position, elPollo is going on the offensive up at the top, sending those units straight through the northern pass and off towards ThermoNuc's main base, potentially. ThermoNuc does have a T3 land factory up here, and that is currently producing Percivals. A lot of engineers around that. I'm wondering if he's going to temper production elsewhere to allow that to run at optimum speed. Or he's just going to use couriers to airlift Percivals individually up here to help defend. He's probably going to lose the T2 mexes up here, I would imagine. But should have enough time to stifle this push before it gets into the main base, assuming he's dedicated to that. Demolishers rolling forward. Needs to be careful. Doesn't want to run that into any danger amongst these factories over here. elPollo withdrawing to the main base now, in behind that T1 PD he put up right at the beginning. Trying to save what he can down here, is evacuating the engineers as well, but they're going to run into a column of pillars. That will be the end of them. Meanwhile, counter push up here at the top from our rightfully angry Cybran player, who is desperate for some payback. Loyalists dying, temporarily EMPing the Percivals, doing him a few favors on that front. Engineers working on some T1 PD. That might be a little bit late as the Loyalists show up very promptly indeed with that extra turn of speed they have. How much damage will they cause before elPollo runs out of units? A couple of rhinos in there as well, don't forget. fact, I'm surprised, but ThermoNuc may lose this position here. More units coming in as well. A second group, and he is actually expanding up to the other starting location as well. So this is good work here from elPollo. The question is, can he stem the tide? Gets up another T1 PD, working on a third down here at the canyon that leads to his main base. Meanwhile, a horde of Percivals, strikers, pillars, Lobos, demolishers, you name it. Everything but the kitchen sink coming his way now, and he doesn't even need ThermoNuc to press that hard because he can sit back and take out the T1 defenses with relative ease. But the main base of ThermoNuc now being invaded. This run by making it in now towards very sensitive structures indeed. Engineers get a few T1 point defenses online. So this position with its T2 air HQ should be relatively safe, I would imagine, but all of the resourcing options are under threat. And remember, ThermoNuc was comfortably over 100 mass generation per tick. He's now down to 92, and that could drop even further. Meanwhile, a little air push from elPollo, who has the odd Corsair and a Jester out now, trying to counter this push. And elPollo takes a volley of Demolisher fire to the face and is now down deep into the red. Just 1,400, 1,300, 1,200 hit points remaining. Is now in range of Cerberus turret fire. Takes another volley, just about stays out of the blast zone. It just clips him, takes him down to about 300 hit points. Demolishers back here, that's their range, and they're losing radar signature on the comm. That's why they're not opening up on him. elPollo, incredibly clutch escape there. Goodness me, and now the array of point defense in the base are killing off those units that were pursuing him, and in fact the Corsairs will tidy up the rest of the Demolishers. Still yet to secure this other starting location over here. But very nice work indeed. But we've got a fat boy on the way for ThermoNuc, who's down to 87 mass per tick. But compare that to elPollo, who's on just 29. Ground forces having to turn back now for ThermoNuc as they're under sustained aerial attack. Funny to see ThermoNuc on the back foot in the air game. elPollo switching it up at just the right time. ThermoNuc will be successful in killing off the Jester, but the Corsair advantage he's got in the skies should mean that he will retain air superiority. Maybe full-on air control for the time being. So 4 or 5 Corsairs left in that, and if he plays this well, he could do some serious damage here. ThermoNuc has gone unmolested from air threats in this game throughout, and is likely not to have a huge amount in terms of static air defense. Immediately he switches things up to produce mobile air defense. A Skyboxer rolls off the conveyor belt, takes a round of Corsair fire to the face. That goes down. I really think he should switch up now, elPollo, and go after the mechs. There's a T3 mechs over here that could be very vulnerable indeed. ThermoNuc going to continue to produce mobile flak. He won't be able to contend with that. He's got to get the damage in where he can, or maybe even bypass this area altogether and go after the resourcing options further back. Meanwhile, a couple of Percivals rolling out up here, heading in towards the expansion that elPollo has still not secured over here. But elPollo producing Corsairs at a pretty comfortable rate here. should be able to counter any potential threats on the ground, as they are not accompanied by flak. And we have a Monkey Lord under construction over here. That's tough, man, on 37 mass per tick, as well as trying to maintain air production. That is going to be a tough ask from elPollo. And ThermoNuc up to 114 mass per tick again. It's vital that elPollo now make some gains with this air advantage he's got. He's got to go around, he's got to pick off all of the mass points he can whilst staying away from any potential threats that might be springing up on the ground. Gunships under production from ThermoNuc. That's interesting with the lack of air cover that he's got. T2 Air HQ could be an interesting target of opportunity, and it looks like he might be going that way. Oh, so many Corsairs. One pass deals with that T2 Air headquarters. Very comfortable indeed, but he needs to go after these mass points now. And he needs to do it quickly. There goes another air factory. There is another one over here. What about down here? Well, that Fat Boy is very nearly finished, of course. Assuming he can hold on to the air advantage, Fat Boy is very vulnerable indeed to air attack. And although he's been producing flak, he's not been dedicating himself to it. He's still been pumping out a lot of Percivals and pillars and such. But those Percivals we saw advancing earlier will manage to dislodge that position that's only recently been claimed by elPollo. elPollo with a wave of suicide Tech 1 bombers. What are they going after? Going after some T1 mexes, or a T1 mex. But so many Corsairs. What are we at? 16 there for elPollo. Needs to pick off these mass extractors here. A couple of T2s there. ThermoNuc down to 72 mass. Now 64. My, how the mighty have fallen. And I can't believe it, down to 55. Would you look at how elPollo is leveling this game. And if he can get down here and kill off these mass extractors, well, air defense is going up quickly, as you wouldn't be surprised. But he needs to, if he moves now, he might be able to do some damage. But he would potentially lose the Corsairs in the process. And he's got a massive problem rolling in the front door. He needs to pull these Corsairs back. He needs to use them to defend. There's very little going on here in terms of anti-air. I think I can see one mobile flak in this pile there. One skyboxer, that's it. Oh, that Monkey Lord. 20,000 hit points of 45,000 done. He needs to pull those Corsairs back, but he's not. He's going in after ThermoNuc's main base. I think this is a bit of a mistake. He's going after the T3 P-Gen. The shield covering that goes down, but of course the route they're taking it means that the other shield gen blocks the majority of that as well, and it really doesn't take long for the rest of the air defenses to mop up the Corsairs. There they go, and that is a wasted opportunity. And now the main base is under demolisher fire once again, and ThermoNuc doesn't even have to press the attack here. He can sit back and bombard. I really don't think elPollo is going to get that spider online anytime soon. The Fat Boy is about 8% away from completion. And that was elPollo's one ticket out of this game potentially. Was that huge amount of T2 fighter bombers that he amassed. And it just shows you one decision. He was one decision away from, if not leveling this game, then at least getting back to a point where he could level, it would not have been a very tough ask for him to get on level pegging if he had brought those Corsairs back and dealt with all of this. elPollo throws out the GG. He knows it's all over, and he must be kicking himself with that decision on the fighter bombers. Just shows you, though, how potentially a quick transition to a different strategy or tactic can change the outlook of a game dramatically, as elPollo starts to eat Percival fire. Boom, baby! And ThermoNuc pulls off the win, a win that he rightly deserves. 36 minutes, he was ahead for most of it, but there was just a window where it looked like it could have been a big upset. Very well done to both players. A little bit quiet early on maybe, but I think you'll agree, very exciting once it got going in the latter stages. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, more to come from me in the future, guys. Don't forget you can support me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And why not dump a like in this video? I don't say that enough. Like and subscribe, guys, because that helps the YouTube algorithm for suggesting videos to other people, and it helps push FAF out there into the wider domain. So shove a like on this video, even if you thought it was terrible, because you're doing FAF and, of course, me a favor. So do it, please, if you don't mind. Hope you enjoyed it, as I say. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.